Welcome to Lakeside Nature Center. I'm Jackie Blessington, one of the staff here. And today we're doing our baby series all about miscellaneous mammals. We have 4 mammals that we're going to cover today. First, we're going to start with our friends, the groundhog or the woodchuck, whichever name you prefer. Now these guys, they like to live in burrows or dens, and they have a really extensive burrow and den system that they make themselves. Something to remember about groundhogs is that they have more than one den site. So this might be a perfect little hiding space underneath the tree here for a groundhog, but we all know they also really like to get underneath your decks. Another perfect spot for them to be resting, especially if you have a garden in the backyard, because they like to get into your garden and eat all the fruits and vegetables you have. Because these guys are vegetarians. They eat various grasses, flowers, fruits, and vegetables. Groundhogs, they hibernate over the winter. I think we all know this because we talk about Groundhog Day, whether or not we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter or if spring's right around the corner. Well, breeding season starts shortly after that, and their babies will be born roughly around April, maybe as late as May. And they can have anywhere from 2 to 9 pups in their litter. These guys only live about 2 to 3 years in the wild as well. Now those little babies, they're going to be in the den for probably a couple months before joining mom in your garden for a nice snack or meal. So when they're about 2 months old, they actually come out of the den at that point, and by fall, they're actually on their own and dispersing and finding their own den sites for the winter before they start to hibernate as well. Now, as far as doing a baby reunite with a groundhog, it really isn't going to be often that you're going to find a baby without a mom, but there could be a situation that mom got hit by a car, that does happen, or unknowingly, somebody relocated a groundhog. We have to remember that if you relocate a groundhog in the spring, it's very likely that there is a baby or babies somewhere very close by. So if you can wait until midsummer, wait for babies, see if they come out of the den, and make sure that those babies are with mom. Honestly, you can encourage hogs to move on their own because remember, they have multiple den sites. They really don't like the smell of people. Maybe you can leave your dirty socks laying around the den. It might encourage them to go somewhere else on their own. If you do happen to find babies that are less than, this size, maybe even that size, wandering around on their own, they may have lost their mother. At that point, it might be a good opportunity to bring them into the center and make sure that they're healthy and everything is okay. One of the other miscellaneous mammals that we get at the Nature Center is, I kind of smell something. Kind of smells like a skunk. Yeah, you got it. We get baby skunks in at the Nature Center as well. Now, these guys are kind of similar to our friends the groundhogs in that they like to burrow into maybe den sites or, again, under your decks or your porches. These guys are actually nocturnal, so you shouldn't see them during the day unless they're out in search of food. Now, these guys are omnivorous, which means they'll eat just about anything. Anything from fruits and maybe some vegetables, but a lot of meats. And actually, they love to eat things like ticks and slugs and grubs. So actually, they're quite beneficial to have around. Now, in the wild, they probably live to about 5 years, maybe a little bit older than that. Did you guys know, I should mention this, that a skunk can spray up to 15 feet? Whoa! But you know what? They're not going to do that unless they feel threatened. So if you kind of get a whiff of a skunk, maybe just keep your distance. Let them have their own space. Baby skunks are born roughly May or June, and they can have 4 to 6 babies that are born with each litter. Now these babies will probably kind of stay down into the den until they're roughly 2 months old, when they might start to accompany mom out in hunt of food. Come fall though, those babies are going to disperse because over winter they kind of den up as well and they go into a little bit of a hibernation. But come next year, they're all going to be on their own looking for their own new mate. Skunks are actually pretty cool, guys. Let's give them a chance because they do serve a really good benefit to the environment, such as cleaning things up, like those ticks and grubs and slugs. Awesome, actually. Skunks, they're pretty cool. All right, so it's not very often that you're going to find baby skunks without their mom. Of course, something could happen to the mom that they get left on their own, and they are truly orphaned at that point. Once in a while though, as mom is moving the babies maybe from one den to another, she could get interrupted, drop a baby along the way, or maybe the babies are big enough that they're moving out, waiting for her to come back. So we have a couple things that we can try in regards to a reunite with skunks. So those babies, what you can do is actually put them underneath of a laundry basket. They're not going to be able to get out themselves, but skunks are very natural diggers. Remember we said that they like to get into burrows or dens. They actually are going to be able to push that laundry basket up and be able to tip it over or get in and out of it. They'll then retrieve their babies and then take them back to the location that they're denning in or their new den site. If you don't have a laundry basket, you could try a box. Now, we're not going to do it like we would do for a raccoon or a squirrel, like with the hole, because it's not as likely that a mom is going to go in and out of this hole per se. But let's say you have a box that has flaps on the side, or maybe even these large flaps on top. You could secure a couple flaps down, but leave one of them so that it's movable. What mom will do is she'll actually pick that flap up and she'll go in and out of the box to retrieve her babies. So a couple options that you can try with skunk reunites. So now we're going to talk a little bit about fox and coyote, two other miscellaneous mammals that we do get in here at the Nature Center. This is a little representative of a coyote, and I think everybody knows a fox typically is that reddish in color, fluffy tail with a white tip, though sometimes they can be gray color, so that's a gray phase. Now these guys, we like to think of being maybe very similar, yet they're very different in some respects. Now the fox, they will like to den up in like a shallow burrow or a shallow den or under your decks like a lot of our animals. The coyote though, they're very elusive. They actually prefer to stay out away from people in areas maybe like the one you're seeing behind us. Fox typically live about 2 to 3 years in the wild. Coyote, probably a little bit longer, maybe 4 to 5 years, maybe slightly longer than that. When it comes to the breeding season, both of them actually start to breed in the late winter. When it comes to having babies, they might start as early as March, though April is probably the more common time frame of when babies are born for both fox and coyote. Both have roughly 4 to 6 kits in the litter, or pups, and they only have 1 litter per year. Now, fox kits, they might stay in the den for roughly 3 weeks before they start to join mom out on adventures. They actually stay with mom over the winter, and then come about January, they disperse when the breeding season starts again. Coyote are slightly different though. They might stay in the den or the resting area for a couple weeks before they start to join mom. They actually start to join mom a little sooner. Now, male coyote though, they will disperse from the pack when they're between 6 and 8 months old. The females though, might stay with the pack for a few years to assist mom with the next year's litter. So again, very different in that respect between fox and coyote. Okay, so we talked a little bit about coyote and fox, and with a lot of mammals, it's not going to be often that you're going to find a baby coyote or fox that are on their own, unless of course something's happened to mom along the way, or possibly as she was moving maybe from den site to den site, she got interrupted, dropped one along the way, or they were moving out on their own and didn't keep up with the process. So before we bring them in and say they have to be raised with a rehabber, we do have a couple reunite options that we can try. One is going to be the laundry basket. If you put those pups or kits underneath the laundry basket and just put it down over the top of them, a mom coyote and a mom fox both, they're really good diggers. They are going to be able to actually pick that laundry basket up and tip it over and get to the babies. If you don't have a laundry basket, you can also try a cardboard box. But you probably don't want to leave the box open on the top because the pups might just jump right out. But maybe instead, put it on its side. If it's got flaps on the side, maybe secure one side, or maybe even better yet, a box that has the 4 sides to it. Secure up maybe 3 of the 4 sides, so there is a flap. Mom is then going to be able to lift that flap up with her nose, reach in, get her pups or kits, and take them to the den site that she's moved the rest of them to. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us today with our adventure on miscellaneous mammals and what comes in at the Nature Center. If you have any questions, make sure you give us a call, and hope to see you soon.